Hello, everybody. I am Nasira and I am the Energy Architect. Today we have with us Kedar Vashi. Kedar, hi. Lovely to have you on the podcast today.
Hi, Nasira. Thank you for having me. Really pleasure.
Oh, it's an honor to have you. So, Kedar and I go back a long way, very, very long back.
Yes.
But I'm going to give you a small introduction, which is quite inspiring. So, on our podcast today, we're thrilled to welcome Kedar, and he's a highly acclaimed leadership development facilitator based in Mumbai, India. With an impressive career spanning over 30 years, Kedar has worked across a variety of industries, including banking, consulting, and FMCG, making significant impacts in organizations like Microsoft, Ford Motors, Tata Motors, and many, many more. Kedar's unique blend of hands on experience in sales, consulting, and talent management has equipped him to deliver impactful and business oriented leadership sessions worldwide. His journey includes pivotal roles at prestigious organizations such as Coca-Cola and Dale Carnegie Training. He's been recognized with the Superior Trainer Award for his outstanding contribution, and I can swear by that. At Coca-Cola, Kedar has played a crucial role in global leadership development, coaching top-tier leaders in countries like the United States, Japan, UAE, and many more. His exceptional facilitation skills and commitment to developing future leaders have earned him recognition as a trusted coach and mentor to numerous CXOs within the Coca-Cola ecosystem. Beyond his work in India, Kedar has co-authored a groundbreaking book, Destination Facilitation, showcasing his expertise on a global platform. His dedication to leadership development and his ability to inspire others make him a true pioneer in his field. Join us as we dive deeper into Kedar's incredible journey and explore the insights and lessons that he has gathered along the way. Kedar, I, for one, can vouch about the quality of your leadership and your facilitation. I would vouch for that. I know you are very humble. You will not. you.
Thank you. Somebody, Nasira, thank you for a very generous introduction. When you said you are very humble, I remembered, I don't know the person, but I remember an anecdote from someone. When a person was trying to be very humble, somebody said, well, sir, don't try to be so humble. You're not so great. So I don't know whether I'm humble, but it's really, really a pleasure, Nasira. I remembered you after, I don't know, even after 14, 15 years of a training program that you attended, and such a wonderful coincidence of life that we just connected on a and after so many years when both of us have gone through different paths, after our
Yeah,
meeting first time and
yeah.
and ended up where doing something that both of us are very passionate about. So yeah, it's great to be here.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you. For people who don't know, I went I'm a T3 trained facilitator, and Kedar was my trainer. And I've taken many lessons in my life. I've attended many workshops. I've been put through various courses. But what I went through with you in that session, those 3 days, 5 days, in fact, they have stayed on for such a long time. That is how impactful
Thank you.
your sessions are.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Absolutely happy to hear that. Really.
Oh, yeah, I mean that. Definitely, I mean that. So, Kedar, we're curious to know as to what was your early journey and background like, where did this all start?
Thank you. In fact, I come from Ahmedabad. I did my, schooling, college in Ahmedabad. I always wanted to become like in those days, people would say, go to a medical or an engineering. But as luck would have it, I went through, doing, science, and then I did my MBA in marketing, and then I started off, so I started off in financial services. So taking up whatever comes in front of me. Um, Most of my friends who are doctors or engineers, they have had a very nice, very straightforward, clear cut career, and I really feel envious sometimes. I went through lot of change and iterations, finally to land up where I am to do something that I love. So my career journey is very checkered, if I may say. Carries a lot of different experiences. If I were to guide somebody on a particular path, when some friends' children, they ask me, the friends call up saying that my child needs career guidance. I said, listen, if you want them to get a message that follow a line, follow that, and excel in that, I'm not the person. If you want me to share my journey has gone through all different iterations, but there's only one core message that I have understood and lived. Um, as cliched as we sound, that follow your passion and you will end up in a happy place. So, after doing my job in sales, consulting, also a couple of years of making a switch, trying to get into facilitation, I think I finally ended up about almost halfway in my career at the place, not doing the work that I enjoyed most, and life has been incredibly happy after that. So yes, it's a very checkered journey, and I'm happy to share more as we go along.
Uh, your career has been phenomenal because I have been following you, and you have you're very successful, Kedar. You're very, very humble also. you Please take credit for
Thank
it.
you. No, thank you. I no, I'm. Thank you for saying that. So whether where I'm successful depends on what is the slice that we cut. I always say, so if I see my school days, I was a very good student. Till the 10th or 11th. If I see my college days, I don't know. Later on, I thought that I have ADD, so I could never learn by listening. So, I think academically, although I considered myself to be really a smart guy, I think academically I was very average. Somehow, thankfully, I didn't let that impact my perception of myself. I also did a couple of jobs in the beginning of my career where I was a miserable failure. My very first job, in financial services, banking, it was so out of sync with who I am. Nasira, I actually started developing rash. Okay. And I actually started feeling nauseous before going to office. And I didn't know this is because of the job. My wife said, well, obviously, this is the impact of how your job is having. I said, no, 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 it's okay. I mean, everybody goes through tough times. But so it depends on where you slice the timeline. But yes, I think after I moved into sales. I was a pretty good salesperson, and when I moved into training and development facilitation, I think that's where I found my calling and ikigai, right, as they call it. What are you good at? But it's just not about what you're passionate about. You need to be good at it, and you need to get paid for it. And so no, I think that's what I found almost midway through my career when I moved into learning, training, and development, and then learning and development, and Dale Carnegie happened, and Coke happened, and those have been very, very exciting journeys for me.
Yeah, yeah. The podcast is all about helping people get unstuck in their lives.
Hmm.
Life happens and people get stuck because they don't know how to get out of it. And this podcast was actually created for one reason, that people, if they have to see it, and if the story resonates with them, they will find the message and help themselves out of their situation. And today, speaking to a leader like you, what would your advice be on somebody not being able to find their ikigai? And people get frustrated with the fact that sometimes it takes time. Everybody doesn't get it
Of
right at the first
course,
shot.
absolutely.
And but the capacity and the capability to shine still exists. And if people realize that, that would be so nice. So what would your advice be to people who find themselves in situations where they're at the point where they want to give up?
Interesting. And thank you for asking that, Nasira, because, and I don't know whether advice, but I definitely have some personal experiences that I'm happy to share. When I was stuck and really hesitant to kind of, to figure out what should be the right way, first and foremost. And then having figured out the right way, um, doubting whether I should take the plunge. So I'll give the both the examples, and if people can draw some inferences from it, I'll be more than delighted. So the first time is when, as I said, so these were when I had to take big decisions, right? So first, when I had to give up my sales career and get into learning and development, that was a big career. So I still remember when I was about 35-ish, with a car loan, a house loan, a child who was about 2 years old, 3 years old that time, and the spouse who had taken a break to kind of, devote time to my son. And that's a time, as I said, perfect timing. That's the time I thought, oh, well, I'm not happy in my sales job. I'm not enjoying, and I want to do something else. So I wasn't happy in my sales job because it was not who I am. I did pretty good in terms of sales, but never resonated. But I always went off. I always figured out. I was always trying to figure out whether I can quit, and if I quit, what will I do? And what about all this financial responsibility? What about the future? So many questions. Okay. Um, and what helped me, Nasira, to take the decision, despite all this responsibility, is a realization, and which I have seen come true many times in my life later on also, and the lives of people, that a lot of time we hesitate taking a decision because we think, we worry what happens if the decision goes wrong. Okay. Two things I realized which helped me take the plunge with all this. First is I realized that there is absolutely no way to find out at this moment in time how my decision will play out in future. There is absolutely no way to find out. As they say in the ad of Nike, there's only one way to find out. So however much I may intellectualize, analyze, but at the time of taking the decision, you always take the decision based on those facts and what you find best. If God forbid it doesn't work out, it may not, but you cannot be sure at this stage whether it will work out or not. So first I realized that, however much I may analyze, there is no way for me to find out unless I take the decision. Second thing which helped me after having realized this, I was still hesitating. I was still, stuck on the fact that, well, yeah, sure. What if I find out that decision went wrong? What happened then? So second thing I realized, Nasira, is that very, very few decisions in life are irreversible. Yes, when you reverse the decision, it is going to cost you. Of course, it will cost you, whether time, money, effort, emotional turmoil, whatever. But very few decisions are irreversible. You will be able to reverse it. Of course, it will cause you some damage to reverse, but it's not that you are stuck for life. You can always come back. You can always trace back and pay the price, whatever, and go to a different path. So once those two things became clear to me, as I jokingly say, I threw my first 15 years of career, I put that into a box, threw it in the Arabian Sea of Mumbai, and started from the scratch from the very next day. Literally, asking people for work, and bit by bit getting one day in 3 months, then another 2 months getting one day being paid very little free, and that's the way I built up. So that was the first thing, Nasira, I realized, and I would anybody listening to this who want to know my take is that unless and until you take a decision, there is no way to find out however much you may intellectualize. And second is, well, if your decision doesn't work out, you can reverse it by paying the price. There's the first realization. There's the first time, right? Now, interestingly, after that, I had a very good career. I was in Dale Carnegie doing what I love. I became the master facilitator, enjoyed, and I was living my life. Till the time I did one training for Coca-Cola, and they said, "Oh, why don't you come and join us?" And I was said, "No, I'm living my dream. I don't want to, cross over to the darker side." As a facilitator, we are all, we all have that image about the darker side of the company, organization, politics, whatever. But when I joined Coke, thinking that I'm going to be here for 2 years, I'll take a Coca-Cola stamp and I'll go and do my own training. Well, as life is nothing but, if not life is nothing, if not unpredictable. 16 years almost is the time that I spent in Coke, and an incredibly enriching journey in terms of experiences, learning, growth, everything. But then came another time when I was a chief learning officer of Coca-Cola in India, done a global work for some time, traveled across the world, developed leaders from all different countries, earning a lot of respect beyond my expectation, because I thought in-house, learning and development guy will not always get as much as respect as a trainer would. But incredibly satisfying journey. And then this bug starts biting me again, saying that, well, now what? Okay, so that's the second time I have to see, right? Whether I want to now go back to my core, which was helping people succeed on a one-on-one basis. So as you know, as the chief learning officer, my job was more to strategize, work with stakeholders, you do analytics, prediction, whatever. But I wasn't getting enough time for the one-on-one coaching, one-on-one facilitation, one-on-one consulting with people. And when I started thinking about this, what I realized was that my opportunity cost this time was significantly higher, right? When I was in sales, I was younger. I said, okay, there's a lesser amount of that you have to earn to compensate for your financial loss. But then now at senior level, where you want to walk out and start on your own, it is very, very difficult again financially.
Mhm.
So what helped me then, again, and going back to my previous one, is that so second time, what helped me is, in fact, I don't know if I have the book here, or maybe I read this book
Mhm.
called "Don't Believe Everything You Think," as Joseph Newen. I don't know if I can
Yeah.
maybe
You'll have to hold it up to
yeah,
your face. If you hold it up to your face.
close to my
Yeah.
face.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah,
Got it. Got it.
this
Yeah.
one.
Right.
But anyways, and I'm sure there are many of book like this. So I used to go to, I still go to a kind of solitude retreat for self-reflection. And this, I thought that I'll go, and I took my pen and paper and everything, and I thought I'll do analyze
Mhm.
whether I should move out from Coke and get into my own training and development and consulting and coaching, or I should continue here. And you won't believe, on the first day I started reading the book, when before I start analyzing, and by the time I finished the book, it was crystal clear. So there are things it talks about a lot of things, but one of the things is that don't let thinking interfere with your decision making. And when I want, what he means by thinking is what you do from your brain. Uh, you know, Feeling is what you have got from your guts. And he said, listen to your gut. And for that, you have to quieten the whole thing, right? And you know this very well. And because I was in that solitude retreat, I was able to quiet everything. And things started becoming clear to me without all those, because I've been doing those analysis for 6 months, right? And
Right.
finally, you won't believe, when I came to the last chapter, it says that it is not a coincidence that you are reading the book at this time in your life. And I said, wow. So the second time I listened to my core. I really listened to what my gut is telling me, what my ikigai is. And
Right.
once that became clear, everything became secondary. Financial consideration, status consideration, social consideration, everything very
Right.
clear that this is what I want to do. So that's a long answer to a short question, but these are the examples from my own life where I was managed to unstuck myself from the clutches of the present, as I would say.
Well, it was a profound answer. You are a lot in the leadership space. You yourself are a leader. You interact with a lot of leaders. And how have your personal experiences shaped your approach to leadership and facilitation?
Yeah. So yes, I think how my personal experiences have. See, at the end of it, all of us are a product of our personal experiences. Of course, environment plays a role, everything, but our personal experiences mold us and they create who we are. So so I would say my personal experiences, whether it is in terms of um, learning and development or even the previous life, have really helped me become better in my job. And I'll give you an example. So I don't know if many people would have heard that story of from uh, Steve Jobs about connecting the dots, saying, whatever you learn somewhere is going to help. Then I will give you an example of my sales days. So I was into sales, corporate sales, B2B sales, um, uh, and when I went to training and development, I thought that those 15 years of my career are gone, right? But I realized that my sales experience has helped me create a mindset which was solution focused, right? Which was client focused, which was not product focused. So in sales, obviously, unless until you are solving a problem, the sale will not happen, irrespective of how great your product is. And when I came into training and then in the corporate world in learning and development, I realized that most of the people are stuck on what they have. So either people who are trainers are training their on their content training programs, or learning and development people, human resource professional that I was a part of later on, also about what we have, what is our agenda. But my sales training has taught me to think in terms of solutions. And to be very honest, sorry, I would say that I would definitely attribute at least a part of my success to this mindset of trying to solve a problem rather than going with, "Hey, this is what I have." So any experiences that you carry, let me tell you, my personal experience is that they all come handy at some or the other stage in life. To me, these experiences which look so unrelated to my to my current job or current role have also come useful at some stage in my life.
Kedar, the one thing that I cannot ignore is the fact that um, the amount of credibility that you have built over the years. In a way, it's almost like saying Kedar and quality, like in the same sentence. Kedar means, of course, that's going to be quality, right? And now you have also kind of extended, internationally, globally. You've got footprints globally now. And what motivated you to expand your work internationally? What has been your most rewarding aspect of this experience?
So interesting. So yes, to the first point, that establishing the credibility. I when you say it, interesting because I remember. So of course, I think the quality comes when you are not only passionate about what you are, but if you are good in what you are. And I think everybody has certain talent in life, every single person. At least I was fortunate enough to find it out, maybe 15, 20 years in my career. This is my talent. But apart from that, I think also, passion, and it sounds very cliched, but I remember I was doing this training program for the leadership team of a banking major back in my Dale Carnegie days, and they at the end of it, they wrote a very nice letter with some gift certificate, not to me, but to my family, my wife and my son, because they heard a lot about because I bring those my experiences into my training. And there was a sentence which said that Kedar would have done this possibly hundreds of times, but every time when he is delivering it, it looks like he is going for an Oscar. I said, "Wow, that's something new. That's something I didn't know that people saw it like this." So I think the credibility, the quality comes when you are really passionate and you want to give the best. So that's the first part. About international exposure, to be honest, in Coke, I got an opportunity to take up a role which was leading learning and development for a group of 18 countries spread across three different continents. And a part of that also included not only designing some leadership program, but also being a master facilitator with some of the larger leadership programs. So I used to be a master facilitator, which means that I would conduct a day or two of the session and also work with other facilitator to create an integrated learning experience for 8 or 10 days. I had an opportunity to do to conduct these kind of programs for over a period of 4 years for more than 150 CXOs for Coca-Cola from across the world. And initially, to be very honest, I wasn't very sure. I thought, maybe my style is more suited or more, more evolved based on Indian audiences and stuff like that. But I realized that at the end of it, people are just looking for quality experience, and as long as you are able to connect with people, irrespective of the country and the languages, um, you know, rest is people are the same at the heart. In fact, at the cost of kind of self-promoting, I would encourage, if anybody wants to read, there is an experience of mine working with some audience in China where I didn't know the language, where I didn't know the culture and language, and working with them on a leadership program for 7 days, how things evolved. So it's available on my website or on my LinkedIn profile, where I've detailed how my experiences of getting into an alien culture and how realizing that at the core people are the same, provided you are able to create that human connect. So I think I have got a lot of friends across the globe, and I've been pleasantly surprised about the fact that they find mindset as valuable as anyone else.
Okay. Okay. And what advice would you give to someone aspiring to become a development facilitator?
So I can definitely share based on my journey a couple of advice for somebody who wants to get into leadership development facilitator. First and foremost is that if you are looking at the water, standing in the shore, there is no way you're going to learn swimming. You have to get into the water. So if you want to be a leadership development facilitator, just find opportunities to facilitate. That's the only way you are going to find out what are your strengths, what are your opportunity areas, and you will find out either you are gifted or you are not suitable for this, or you are decent enough to make this area work. So there is always an element of talent, and there is also an element of training. So even if you don't have a natural talent, the training can definitely increase your quality and your capability. So my first advice would be, just like Nike, just do it. Get into the water and start facilitating. The second, I would also say, if you can find a good source of train the trainer kind of a program, please do it, because there is an art and there is a science. I know, to share a personal example, when I moved to Mumbai after my marriage, my wife told me that there's Indo-American Society who run public speaking programs, and why don't? And I said, darling, thank you. I know you love. I don't need this, because all my school and colleges have been an ace public speaker. There is one thing: I have never participated into any public speaking contest, including Mood, Indigo, and IIT, and not won a prize. So I know you mean well, but this is one thing which I don't need to learn. I know it. But you know, as being newly married, trying to keep my wife happy, I went and enrolled in the course, and I realized that I may have got natural talent, but when I went through the course, I also learned some of the science of public speaking, some of the science of audience handling, and it has been a very valuable experience for me. So, as humbling as it was, my advice to anyone is that do get do learn the art and science of facilitation from somewhere. You can join and train the trainer. You can see online, or you can see successful people and see if you can learn from them. Although many times what you see is the tip of the iceberg, and what has happened behind is not for you to see. But so first is get into the water, and if possible, get learn the science from somewhere. Train the trainer, online, offline. Yeah,
Yeah, like I did when I attended your.
just like you did, absolutely.
Yeah. I did not know there were so many techniques to it. And that was like a realization for me. And I'm sure people exploring the avenue will also, experience that. But they
Sure.
also need a facilitator as good as you. I'm sure there
So
are.
good news for if there are those kind of people out there. The good news is that I do have train the trainer workshops. They can go to my website and find out about it. But I'm not saying me. Find out any good facilitator, but do a train the trainer from somewhere. If your organization is sponsoring, go for it. If you have an internal person, go for it. If you want to go to external, there are good companies. Go for it. But do go through train the trainer for sure.
Wonderful. I will leave your contact details at the end of the podcast, so people will be
Sure.
able to get in touch with you, and if they need any guidance, I'm sure you will be able to help them out with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And something that's very close to something that we also share in common is coaching. And how do you see coaching interplaying with facilitation? What's been your experience?
Yeah, so coaching and facilitation both ultimately are directed toward the same thing, like helping a person grow in one way or the other. So I think the first similarity I see is that both of them are directed toward the same objective. Obviously, I think they go very well together because when you're facilitating a leadership program, you are talking and you are interacting with a group of 10, 12, 15, 20 people, where you can create awareness. You can also take them into, conscious incompetence to even conscious competence. But in order for them to inculcate it in their lives by identifying and removing the obstacle, that part comes only through coaching, right? When you are having one-on-one conversation with people and when you help them get unstuck, as you do very well, or when you help people move forward by getting rid of the obstacles, is where you inculcate. So I would say training is more of kind of sensitizing people to the concepts and the ways of working, but for a more deeper and more sustainable change, coaching is a must. So that's how both those things really go very well hand in hand.
I couldn't agree with you more. And what a wonderful combination that is. Um, so do you have any upcoming projects or initiatives that you're excited that you would like to share with our listeners today?
Yeah, so I moved out of Coke, and now that I'm doing my own training and coaching and leadership development. I do customized work also, but I also have my signature workshops on storytelling. I have been known as a storyteller. In fact, I have this Coca-Cola gave me an informal title of uh, Chief Storytelling Officer.
Wow,
Okay, so
well
Coca-Cola gave me an
deserved.
informal title of chief storytelling officer in a conference, and I
It's a
have
good one.
captured all my storytelling skills. I do have a signature workshop called Storytelling Masterclass for CXOs. That is something that I'm really passionate about and something that I have seen. I have seen people change in 2 days. I also have my signature leadership program called Transformation Leadership, and of course, I do train the trainer. So these are my signature programs. Of course, I'll tell you the end of it. It is not about what I have. It is about what problem am I trying to solve. So I do customize work for clients. I do customize work uh, for industries. With the leaders, with the leadership teams, and so on and so forth. So those are the area that I work with. I summarize my work as kind of creating AI-proof leaders, because where artificial intelligence is coming and AI is
Oh
coming,
yeah, for
there's a
sure. Yeah,
lot of things which is getting automated and AI is
yeah.
doing. But there are also parts of the leadership that AI will never be able to do, which is like inspiring people. Like when I do my storytelling workshop, people can go to ChatGPT, Google, or Meta, or Copilot. They'll get stories, but it's not the story that inspired them. It is the storyteller that inspired them. So there are parts of the leadership which the AI is not able to do and accomplish. And as a leader, you need to kind of make your leadership style AI proof. So you use AI as a tool to enhance your leadership. So I would say a lot of my work is about making a leader AI proof in that way.
Right. You are definitely one of the most authentic people I know.
Thank you.
So who else better to speak about it than you? And in a way, Kedar, you kind of have built this legacy, that you are not aware of and you're very shy to speak about. But
I'm happy
what do
to.
you hope to leave in the field of leadership development? What is it that you would like to bring to that?
Uh, so, so I don't know about legacy. In fact, since you mentioned legacy, it's very interesting that when I was leaving Coke, I have been there for a good 15 years, and yes, I do have a legacy within Coke and maybe in the leadership development space outside Coke. But so I don't know about legacy, good or bad. But when somebody is telling me, that whoever is going to succeed, whether it was a Dale Carnegie training previously, whether it was Coke, people said it's going to be very difficult to fulfill the legacy. And my point is that somebody else will create their own legacy. So it's not about somebody's legacy. You have to fulfill somebody's legacy. You create your own legacy. So I'm sure everybody is capable of creating their own legacy. I'm happy if I am leaving some legacy that can inspire people. But what I want to leave behind is is uh, and that's the reason why I moved out from Coca-Cola and started, on developing people on my own. Because I do believe that at this stage in my life, compared to when I first joined Dale Carnegie training, with all this white hair now, there are certain, deeper truths about life, leadership, that I have come to experience and I've come to learn and I've come to inculcate. And what I hope to do is pass it on to the larger audiences, to benefit from them. And that's one of the main reason for me to move out of Coke. And I hope it doesn't sound very conceited, but I genuinely felt that I need to bring whatever little skills, knowledge, wisdom I have beyond one organization and really really find people on a wider canvas whom I can help. So that's what I hope to leave behind. That's how what I hope to kind of um, share with the larger world, and I really hope that I'm able to fulfill that.
As a global facilitator, I have to say that you always raise the bar up a little bit more. So many, many congratulations to you.
Thank
And
you.
there is one more thing. You are a published author, and we didn't talk about your book and also your shairi, which I know you are passionate about and you're fantastic with your shairi. So would love to hear about that.
So interesting. So as far as the book is concerned, I think I was really honored because there is this ATD, Association of Talent Development, who was earlier known as ASTD, American Society of Training and Development, the biggest training and development body in the world. Then they brought base becoming ATD. So ATD, in fact, invited me to speak at their Washington DC convention, a global convention once. And at the end of it, they offered me a project where they were bringing together six facilitators from across the world and create the book called Destination Facilitation, which each facilitator is going to talk about what are the nuances of leadership development in their cultural context. And I was very honored to be the expert from India to write to co-author this. To be honest, so that is how the book came about. There are some fantastic authors from all across the world who contributed, about their countries, and I have contributed those for India. My love for Shairi is, I don't know where it came from. I'm a Gujarati. Gujarati is, I
But
mean, no
Urdu
offense.
shairi, that also. That also Urdu
Exactly.
shairi.
The Gujaratis, we
Yeah, I've
don't
been
even speak
witness to
Hindi
your
properly.
shairi.
We don't even listen to Hindi. We don't even speak Hindi properly. Most of us, not all of us. But so I have always been a fan of Urdu poetry, and like anything, I really found lot of wisdom about life, a lot of wisdom about whether you call it life, reality, philosophy, being captured into, two lines that creates a share. So I've been a big fan of, legends like Mirza Ghalib, even in the modern time, people like Nida Fazli, and many of them. And I happen to write some little bit here and there. But I really find that a lot of life's secrets, a lot of life truth, a lot of truths about leadership, everything you can find into those some of the other shades of what people have written. And I often use some of those shades in my sessions, and people realize that sher and shairi is not just about about love and liquor and kind of surface level thing, but very deep philosophies of life which can help you move forward is what those shares bring. Right. For example, somebody asked me, some of the young people asked me about an advice, and I could think of a line. I don't even know who wrote this. It says, "मंजिल उन्हीं को मिलती है जिनके ख्वाबों में जान होती है." मंजिल उन्हीं को मिलती है जिनके ख्वाबों में जान होती है, परों से कुछ नहीं होता, हौसले से उड़ान होती है. So
Wow.
these are the kind of lines which really spurs a person, way beyond a long lecture could do. So that's where my love for shairi comes from. I do have been writing something, and I hope, Nasira, you are a published author. You are a best-selling author on Amazon. I have seen, and I do hope that I am able to come out with enough quality material to publish a book of shairis or poetry, not
Wow.
shairis, poetry.
Arey, sir, kya bol rahe ho?
Inshallah, inshallah.
No, Kedar. Seriously, your shairi that is another level altogether.
Thank you,
When you told me shairi, I had to repeat it 2-3 times in my mind to understand it properly, right?
thank
So,
you.
I mean, that's the level and quality of your shairi. So
Thank you.
you should
Hopefully,
you should
everybody
know
feels
that.
that way. So I'm happy.
We have so much to learn from you. You're absolutely inspiring, Kedar.
Thank
And
you.
I am so grateful to you for coming uh, here on my podcast today and speaking about your journey, talking about, being vulnerable and telling us about how you were also stuck at some point, how you've been able to overcome it. And like you said, the sky is the limit. You you need to just fly, you need to decide, and you need to take off. And
Absolutely.
that is so inspiring. You are an absolutely authentic leader, and I wanted to congratulate you
Thank you.
for everything that you do because it's very
Thank you.
inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much, Nasira. It's been a pleasure being on your podcast. You yourself have been an achiever. You yourself have made that shift from corporate career to coaching, and you are an inspiration for sure. And it's an absolute honor for me to be on your podcast, not because I admire you professionally, but also we go back long back during those train the trainer days. So it's
Yeah,
really
and actually before that
inspiring.
also, when we were
And
kids,
before that
maybe.
also, correct.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So
We did
really,
not know about
really
that.
honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you for your very kind words. I'm very humbled, to hear something like that from you. That's really something.
Thank you.
So I'd like to talk to you like forever, but we just have that much of time. So I'm gonna say bye now, and we'll continue our conversation later.
Absolutely.
Um, Thank you everybody who's been able to join us. Please do listen to Kedar. He's a very inspiring, authentic leader and a trainer and a facilitator, and I know exactly what kind of quality and wisdom comes through his facilitations. So thank you so much for having
Thank
us,
you.
for coming on the show, Kedar.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All the best to you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you at the next podcast. Bye.